how to upgrade your life and live forever. Now, I love starting things with a quiz. So we're going to do a quiz in a moment. But I thought I'd break the title down into upgrade, and then we'll grow that on. So we're going to talk about upgrade first. Let's do a Christmas quiz. Apologies for the picture. It's a little bit grainy, but hopefully you can all see it. So, Christmas quiz, talking about upgrade. So we're going to start thinking about society today and how people constantly want the next new thing, constantly want an upgrade. And this time of year is particularly important for that, because people for Christmas are thinking, well, what do I want next? What's the next thing that I want? How do I get an upgrade, or how do I get a better whatever they want? So I thought we could do a nice Christmas quiz about society and obsolescence and things like that. So, question number A at the very top. Up to how many cards this Christmas could end up in the bin?
Is it for the family or is it for the country?
Whatever's on here. No, for the country.
Yeah.
I'd hope for a country, because this is a big number for a family.
30, 40 million.
Oh, go on, up from there.
100 million.
1 billion Christmas cards could end up in the bin. Think of all the businesses sending Christmas cards to various people. Think about how many Christmas cards a family will get. And if everybody in the country gets 10 Christmas cards, then you're up to hundreds of millions of Christmas cards just from that. Okay, question B. How many turkeys are thrown away every Christmas?
How many cooked friends?
I imagine so.
10 million.
I imagine that's
Not quite, Phil. Morbid man. 2 million turkeys. I don't know the source from this either, so this could have been made up and put onto a nice picture. 2 million turkeys are thrown away every year. Whole turkeys. How many million Christmas trees are discarded after Christmas every year?
100 million.
100 million, not quite.
6 million.
There you go. Have you seen the picture? You've just quickly Googled it. Okay, how many mince pies are thrown away every Christmas?
80 million.
I like the confidence now in the millions. Everything's millions and millions.
Yeah.
No, it's 74 million mince pies are thrown away at Christmas time. Okay, tons of glass thrown away in the UK every Christmas. I'll give you a clue. This one's in the thousands rather than the millions. Glass. So bottles and glasses and things like that.
9,000.
9,000. It's 13,350 tons of glass every year. Almost there. Who loves Brussels sprouts? Yeah. How many Brussels sprouts are thrown away every year? Yeah. I like Brussels sprouts, but there's still millions. 17.2 million Brussels sprouts are thrown away every single year, just discarded. And last question, what percentage more rubbish is produced over Christmas?
Probably 100%.
Not quite, no. I thought it would be up there as well. But, I forgot to put one on there. So that's meant to disappear, but it doesn't. 30% more rubbish is produced every year at Christmas. And for me, when I first found this, again, it could all be untrue, source unknown, I thought that's a pretty scary picture, isn't it? To think that there's this much waste and just for this period of time that Christmas happens for, this 1 week of the year or whatever, and all of this stuff happens and goes in the bin almost, and then next Christmas comes along and we do it all again. In my job, I work really closely with a variety of big companies, and they don't know I'm going to talk about this today, obviously. But there's something which I've noticed in the 10 years of working where I work that we also see this as well. And I gave a sneak preview of it a second ago. Does anyone know what this is from the side? iPhones. So the iPhone is now 11 years old. It was created in 2007 as something that combines your phone, your diary, and your calculator, and had a camera on it and all sorts of other things. And this is the iPhone through the ages. So you've got the iPhone 3 and the 3G on the left-hand side, all the way through to the brand new one, the XR, the iPhone 10R on the right-hand side. And something that Emily teaches at school actually is the concept of planned obsolescence, where, and I would never accuse any companies of this, but this idea that things are built to break. So you can upgrade and upgrade and upgrade every single year, and the phones never stop coming off the conveyor belt, so you upgrade every single year. And we see that with everything that we do, don't we? So Apple will continually create iPhones, they'll continually make stuff. Likewise with the new sofa, the TV around Christmas is nuts, with everybody wanting the next thing, even though your current one works okay. The next one's got all of these new features, and you have to upgrade to be able to have the next best thing. So we've thought about gadgets, we've thought about the kind of obsolescence factor around this time of year. What other things could we upgrade? Any shout-outs?
Travel.
Travel, yeah. Go on a nice cruise.
Clothing. So,
Oh.
my son would only ever buy anything with a design and label on it.
Yep, the next label, the next big thing, the next one that you want. I'd put... Pardon?
Car.
Well done, Dad. Looking at my slides.
Motorways.
Pardon?
Motorways.
They need upgrading, don't they? if only they were upgraded. So a few that I've put on the screen. You've got car, you've got your house. I think they're probably quite like their nice, cute little house, if you ask me. Your job, you might want a better and better job all the time. Your gadgets, so your computer. You can even upgrade your face now and get a different looking face so that you can look like the next big thing. I mean, there's various fashion trends, aren't there, where people can look like whoever they want to do. This all looks a little bit ridiculous when you present it on the screen as just this list of things that people want more and more. But it's inbuilt in within us, isn't it? It's human nature to want to better ourselves, to want to improve, and it's culturally around us as well to always want something new and better. But that only covers part of our topic, doesn't it? This idea of upgrade. And I think we'd all agree with looking at the Christmas, how much is thrown away, with the iPhone producing another one, and all of these things on the screen behind me. There'll be another one come along another year, and it's all very short term. It's not satisfying. It gives you a quick adrenaline hit, but it's not the long term upgrade that perhaps you want in your life that sustains you and is satisfying. It will never be good enough. So let's now have a look at upgrading your life. I typed this into Google, and there's some really fun stuff that comes up, and I'm going to zoom into one particular conference that I found. Does anyone fancy going to Australia in a couple of weeks?
Ooh, yes, please.
Yeah? Well, there's a conference just for you. It's Upgrade Your Life 2019. Woo! Join us at the event of the year. I think that's a little bit ambitious to call it the event of the year only 3 weeks in, but there we go. And it's in Sydney, Australia. And this is the blurb. Don't drift in the direction of your greatest weaknesses. Neglecting your health, intimacy, family, friendships and fun ultimately brings pain and dysfunction. Most people neglect these areas in the short term to achieve long-term work and material successes. They do so because devoting daily time to all 8 areas, which I'll show you in a moment, is difficult. At this event, you'll learn an exclusive 5-step framework to help you design your perfect 24-hour day, where you devote time to each area without neglecting any. The method is so simple that it will leave you wondering where this wisdom has been hidden all these years. It will also leave you wondering why this is not taught at schools and even in the workplace. Wow, I really want to upgrade my life at the event of the year 2019. But people do. And on reading that, this feels a lot better than just getting the next big thing, doesn't it? It feels a lot more wholesome. It feels like something that actually is a positive thing. Don't neglect things that are important in your life. So this is the model that they put on their website. I don't know if everybody can see that. So in the middle, you've got your health. And that's meant to give you energy. This is meant to be the driving force behind what you're able to do. And around that, you've got your spiritual health, your physical health, your mental health, and your emotional health. And this is what is dysfunctional if you don't do the particular things that they're saying. Then around the outside, they've got these 8 areas that they say that you need to always be working on daily to be able to improve your life. You've got charity, love, family, work, friendship, learning and wealth. And when you add all of these together and balance them perfectly, you'll be a healthy individual on a spiritual and emotional and physical and mental level, and your life will be upgraded. Again, it sounds wholesome, it sounds good, it sounds, if you can balance that perfectly, it sounds like the right thing to do. It feels like it's long term, not short term, and it's centred around something that's important as well, which is your health and your well-being. So as I started to look at this, I started to think, well, actually, God talks a little bit about these as well, and it's not unscriptural to think that we should be doing this. So I put some verses on. Matthew 5 talks to us about charity and wealth. Give to one who asks of you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. You've got Colossians 3, which talks about love. Bear with each other and forgive each other. Forgive one another. If any of you has grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. And over all these virtues put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. Then we start to think about learning. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from the right to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate it the day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything that's written in it. Then you'll be prosperous and successful. And maybe that links to wealth as well. And then finally, Proverbs chapter 13, verse 4 says about work. A sluggard's appetite is never filled, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied. And I'm sure there are many verses that we could put next to all of these to say, actually, when you treat all of these individually, they're things that God wants us to do as well. So God wants us to give to charity and be charitable people. God wants us to be loving. God wants us, and under wealth, I don't know if you can see, it says freedom. We know in the Bible it talks about having spiritual wealth stored up in heaven. So how do we build our spiritual bank up as well? Learning isn't a bad thing. We're told to learn more about our Bible and told to learn and study and understand what God wants us to do better. So this is fine, but is it long term? Is it something that can ultimately upgrade our life beyond the current life? Does it answer our title? I don't think it does. So now we're going to look at upgrading our life and live forever. I think we're in a good place with upgrading our life. That model works, it's a nice thing to do. But how do we add to that? How do we make it this second part, which is the and live forever bit? I think the Bible gives us two more dimensions on this. The first one is where we start from, and so what's the purpose behind us wanting to upgrade our life? Why do we want to do it? And the second one is what we centre our life around. So in the middle of that model was health. What should be in the middle? Should it be something to do with us, or should it be something else? And I think that's what takes it beyond upgrading your life to upgrading your life and living forever. I also think that self-help is almost a religion in itself now, isn't it? There's principles, there's processes to follow, there's rules, and it's key to the name, I guess, though, that it's self-help, it's not others' help, and that gives us a hint on where we should start from. Jesus asks us to start from a place of loving him and loving others around us. And I think we get a sort of journey of that if we start in Proverbs. So Proverbs chapter 3, verse 1 to 6. My son, never forget the things I've taught you. If you want a long and satisfying life, closely follow my instructions. Never tire of loyalty and kindness. Hold these virtues tightly and write them deep within your heart. If you want favour with both God and man, and a reputation for good judgment and common sense, then trust in the Lord completely. Don't ever trust yourself. In everything you do, put God first, and he will direct you and crown your efforts with success. So this kind of mirrors the model that we saw a moment ago. And I've coloured in here the orange bits, which are the things that God's asked us to do. So this is kind of the model as a self-help book might do to upgrade your life. So never forget the things I've taught you, closely follow my instructions, never tire of loyalty, etc., etc. And then when I put the blue on there as well, these are the things that you get back. So if you do all of these, then you get all of those. So you get to be called a son. If you want a long and satisfying life, then do these things. If you want favour with both God and man and a reputation for judgment and common sense, then do this and this and this. And he will direct your efforts he will direct you and crown your efforts with success. So if you do these things, then you'll be successful. But the Bible isn't to do this and you'll get that sort of book, is it? We can never do enough to get all of what God has promised us. God's gift of his kingdom is far beyond what we can ever do to earn it. We know that. So what's the do this, get that about within our Bibles? I think as we go through to the New Testament, this is expanded on further. It's not about looking at things from a legalistic way. It's more of a spiritual way, as Jesus points out with the scribes and Pharisees. Matthew chapter 23, verse 25 and 26 says, "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgent. Blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup and dish, then the outside also will be clean." So God's not looking for the do this, do that, and you'll get this, get that sort of thing. He's not looking for us to try to do these certain things, sign a contract, and then I'll upgrade your life. God's looking for different things. He's looking for us to cleanse the inside and make ourselves better from that way instead of the superficial side of things. Do this for others almost, and the benefit for yourself will be seen too. How do we do this? I think Jesus points this out in two ways. There are two verses that I think kind of zoom into what we're looking at here. The first one is Matthew 22. So this is around almost the selfless aspect. So it's not a self-help, it's an other help kind of strategy. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. The second is like it. Love your neighbour as yourself. Now both of these commandments are equally important. That the second is like it makes them both important. But there's actually three things that we should love here. It's not just two. The first one is God, as it says in the first commandment. The second one is your neighbour. But the third one is that you have to love yourself as well. Because otherwise, how will you love your neighbour more than yourself if you don't value who you are and don't value what you do? So it's important there that we value what God is asking us to do. Sorry, it's really dark on the screen. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and with all your mind. And love your neighbour as yourself. All three are important. Secondly is Mark 16 verse 14. And this is after Jesus has died and has come back. Later, Jesus appeared to the 11 as they were eating. He rebuked them for their lack of faith and their stubborn refusal to believe those who had seen him after he had risen. He said to them, "Go into the world and preach the gospel to all creation. Whoever believes and is baptized will be saved, but who does not believe will be condemned." And this is where we start to see the second dimension of what Jesus is asking us to do really come to life. It's not about do these 8 steps and then everything will be all right. It's not the do this, do that sort of culture. It's actually I want you to be committed to something. I want you to show your association with something. And that's where the "and live forever" really comes in. So, to recap, we're in a world of obsolescence at the moment, a world where people want the next big thing. People always want an upgrade. They always want to move on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing because it's better and it'll improve their life. But we know that just as the Christmas turkeys all get thrown in the bin and they'll come again next year and exactly the same thing will happen again, this is very short term, it's very superficial, and it doesn't really bring us to a means to, it's just a means to an end. It doesn't really bring us that lifelong satisfaction that we're looking for. We also know that people are looking for a more fulfilled way of life, and people spend a lot of time building models that aren't necessarily wrong. These are good, wholesome things for people to do and to look at, to contribute to your life in a certain way so that you can be better and more fulfilled and healthier in what you do. There is a step beyond this though, which is what God presents to us in the Bible, and that's to be baptised. God presents to us in our Bible not just a way to have an upgrade for now, not just a way to have an upgrade that will be something that we can pin ourselves on in terms of a model to live our life. God gives us a way to upgrade our life and live forever in his kingdom. Baptism is the outward expression of an inward decision to put your faith in Jesus. It's not do this, get that. It's God's asking for us to love each other, to love him, and to show our association with him and our faith. And then we can be part of his family. And we know as well that the more you put into something, the more you feel like you get out for yourself. But that's another talk, I guess. So thank you very much for listening.